Good day, everyone. We are the Group 1, and today we're going to tackle a topic that is titled The Physical Self, Heredity, and the Environment. Before we start, let us read the learning objectives. By the way, I am Kian Rex Baligwat. And the first objective is, at the end of the presentation, we will be able to understand the physical self. The second objective is to know what really are from the outside or physically. Third objective is to discuss and understand the two kinds of genes. And the last objective is to know what factors of the environment that affects our physical self. But first, what is physical self? The physical self is the concrete dimension, the tangible aspects of a person that can be directly observed or examined. So, physical self is the outside appearance of us people. It's like our face, our body, our height, and everything that is can be seen through our body. And now that I have given the definition of the physical self, let us proceed to the main topic, which will be presented by Dan Andrebongo and Glendelmark Arante. The stage is yours.
Hello everyone, I am Dan Andrew C. Bungo and I'm here to report about the physical self and environment. Human behavior is determined by interactions of heredity and environment. The environment refers to any factor which an individual comes to contact with after the heredity patterns has been received through germ plasma. The task of the environment is to shape these traits in a proper form or give opportunities for their unfoldment and fulfillment, and to help making improvements. This includes also training, learning, influence of home, the school, religion, and all other that stimulate the senses in any way. Heredity and environment are interdependent forces. In some cases, the effect of heredity is much stronger or predominant. Vice versa, in some cases as well, the effect of environment and personality is more dominant in heredity. Heredity lays down the necessary foundations where environment changes or modifies these foundations for good and bad. For example, behavioral attitudes such as intelligence, experience, temperament, sociability are highly influenced by environmental factors. Other examples: environmental influence on personality is culture. For instance, some cultures dictate that children should be reserved and speak only when spoken to. Another environmental influence is school. Since children spend the majority of their time in school, this can have a huge influence on their personality. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Glendelmark G. Arante and I am here to tackle about heredity. So what is heredity? Heredity is the sum of all biological processes by which particular characteristics are transmitted from parents to their offspring. Offspring means a children. For example, a daughter. A daughter is produced by their parents through sexual reproduction. The set of genes that an offspring inherits from both parents is a combination of the genetic material of each is called the organism's genotype. An example of heredity is the likelihood that you will have a blue eyes because your mother has a blue eyes. And another example of heredity is that your grandmother has a breast cancer and your mother experienced it too. Then you have a possibility of having breast cancer based on your family history. The passage of biological traits or characteristics from parents to offspring through the inheritance of genes, hair, skin, eye color, body type, height, and susceptibility to certain diseases are some of the examples of inherited traits in humans. They are usually physical characteristics that you inherit from your parents or relatives through genetics.
Good morning, everyone. So now I am assigned to discuss dominant gene in physical self. A dominant gene or dominant version of a gene is a particular variant of a gene in which, for a variety of reasons, expresses itself more strongly all by itself than any other version of the gene which the person is carrying. In simple words, dominant refers to the relationship between two versions of a gene. Individuals receives two versions of a gene, known as alleles from each parent. If alleles of a gene are different, one allele will be expressed, and that is the dominant gene. So let's proceed. The dominant gene occurs if the alleles of a gene are different, then the one allele will be expressed, and it is called the dominant gene. In physical self, both parents have the so-called genes that inherits by the child. If the alleles of the gene is if different, then the child will receive both the gene from parents, but there is what dominant in which a gene will be expressed by itself than any other gene. What I mean is, out of the two genes from the parents, there is the only one gene that will be recognized in physical self. Let's say for example, I have a blue eyes, then my wife have a brown eyes, then our child has a blue eyes, the same as mine. So, in other words, the dominant gene presented is mine because our child has a blue eyes. For supporting the statement, it is stated that if the allele of a gene are different, one allele will be expressed, which is called the dominant gene. That's what happened between my wife and I. My gene becomes dominant to my child, which lead him for having a blue eyes. So that's all for my topic, which is dominant gene in physical self. Thank you and goodbye.
So good day everyone, I am Christian Joseph A. Gamboa and I will report about recessive gene. But first, let us know what is gene. So genes are the one responsible in carrying traits of the parents then passing it to the offspring. Example, you have a black hair because your parents have a black hair and your friends have a blonde hair because his or her parents have blonde hair. But that's not always the case. There are cases that the blonde parents produces or have an offspring of black-haired children. So in genes, we have two classifications. The first one is the dominant genes that is strong and the second one is the recessive genes which are weak. Now, let's just focus on recessive genes. So, recessive gene is the one that carries the recessive traits or traits that is not shown when the dominant form of gene is present. So, recessive gene is a pair of recessive allele. It means that the allele of the recessive genes would be paired with another recessive allele so that recessive traits would be seen in the physical appearance of their offspring. So, example here is the parents have brown eyes and one of their offspring has blue eyes. So, here the dominant is represented by a capital letter and the recessive is represented by a small letter. So, the both parents have heterozygous brown eyes, which means that they have both dominant and recessive alleles in their genes. When they mate and produce offspring, the alleles are pairing, and if the recessive allele paired with another recessive allele, the trait which is the blue eyes would be present to the physical appearance of one of their offspring, but the chance is only 25%. But if the recessive allele is paired with another dominant allele, the recessive allele would never be shown. So, our physical traits depend on these genes because the trait of our parents would be passed down to us. That's why people would say, liwata sa imong mama or papa, uy. But in some cases, there are people who does not look like their parents and even in their siblings. But you must not be worried if you are one of them because you might have the same characteristics or same traits of your grandparents or ancestors. And it is because your father that is carrying a recessive allele paired with your mother that is carrying also a recessive allele. And when they mate, they form a recessive gene that is now past and can be seen in your appearance. So, that's it. And if you want to know if you are carrying a recessive gene, you can see here some of the recessive characteristic that a person that has a recessive gene possess. And that's all. Thank you.
Hello once again, my name is Kian Rex Baligwat, and today I am going to tackle a subtopic which is titled Physical Growth Development and Maturation. So, what is physical growth development? Physical growth development is one of the many domains of infant and toddler, including teenagers and other people past our stage. It relates to the growth and skill development of the body, including the brain, muscles, and senses. So, physical growth refers to the evolution of our body. By evolution, which means the changes that happens to our body as we grow up. For example, when we were kids, when we reach the age of 5, we will know how to read, write, and spell, and our senses is enhanced than before, and that is a sign of physical development growth, and our height and weight also is changed by that time, and that kind of growth can be related to us teenagers in this stage of ours, because as a teenager there are many changes that happens to us. For example, for the males, our voice gets deeper, just like this, and our height becomes more taller. Yes, taller. And our weight has also changed, and also our senses and intelligence becomes more enhanced than before when we were kids. Unlike girls, their physical development growth is faster than us boys. That's why when we were 12 years old, girls are probably most of the girls are taller than us. That and that is the meaning of physical growth.
I'm Elisa Marie Omega, and I'm going to tackle the topic maturation. So, what is maturation? Maturation is the process of learning to cope and react in an emotionally appropriate way. It does not necessarily happen along with aging or physical growth, but is a part of growth and development. Like, for example, as a young adult with a career and other responsibilities, my priorities are studying and working after class. And if I have a vacant time, I will go out with my friends and have some fun. So I'm more focused on my needs to make my life better in the future than on my wants. Again, as I have said earlier, maturation is the process of being mature, or it is a process of a person developing physically or starting to act more grown up.
Hi, good day. I'm Isim Kimod and I'm going to tackle the environmental factors affecting the physical self. So, environmental factors are the factors in development of a person that includes the environmental structure and event which might give an impact on how a person could grow in all the aspects of his or her life. So, the environment can affect us in many ways, like giving stress to us, but also the environment can give us a positive aura. The environment can facilitate or discourage interactions among people. So, for example, you and your family are invited to a special occasion from your relatives, then pag abot ninyo sa venue, kay you have a reserved seat for you and your family, so you yourself will feel excited and happy. and etc. The environment also can influence our mood, and it can influence people's behavior and motivation to act. A healthy environment is essential for us to experience a long-term healthy society. So that's all. Thank you.
What's up, Mananap? I am Vince Putane and I will talk about the physical self and self concept. First is physical self. Physical self is the individual's perception of themselves in areas of physical ability and appearance. In physical self, it will solely talk about the self in physical means. Just like, for example, physical ability. The self can be identified by your strength, endurance, and other physical characteristic or strengths. And in appearance, for example, you're beautiful, you're ugly, uh, you have big forehead, big nose. That's what I talk about physical self. From the word itself, physical. So it means the thing that we can see and touch. Maybe. Next is self-concept. Self-concept is the image that we have of ourselves. This image develops in a number of ways but is particularly influenced by our interactions with important people in our lives. And self-concept is also what should I call this? How you perceive things, how you perceive what you are and who you are. For example, I thought about myself that I am a good friend. So the concept of self this in that example is I am I am a good friend. Another example is I am a kind son or kind sibling. That is how I perceive myself, and that is what it meant in self-concept. The way you perceive yourself, understand or describe or any synonyms that connects to perceives, understands yourself, that talks about your unique characteristics. Self-concept, in simple words, is how you perceive yourself. That's it. And that's all about my report. Thank you.